This is just a video tour of a remote rig setup using a Raspberry Pi, which is sitting on top of the MFJ artificial ground, and some free software. We have a view of the rig here, an oscilloscope, and a watt meter. I'll run a few CW tones into it, and you can watch the scope. So we see everything showing up. And over here on the right, we have two Gstreamer audio over IP cables, so to speak, virtual cables running from the Pi through the Ethernet cables to a router, through a couple switches, and then to this laptop. So this is the remote room where the rig is, and we're using FL rig to control.
We want to know, becoming a Catholic, you know, I myself.
On this broadcast, Dr. Dodson will talk about what it means to be an authentic, godly man with Dr. Robert Lewis. Dr. Lewis is the teaching pastor and directional leader at Fellowship Bible Church in Little Rock, Arkansas. He's in the state of Missouri.
Ollie says he'll be working to end miscommunication among groups and to create an electronic tracking system for every rape kit in the state. Thieves in one North Carolina city are targeting NRA supporters. Police in Hunters.
Okay, turn the power off here. And let's go to the remote laptop now. And we'll take a little tour of the software. We have three LV2 plugins that were made using InGen. So this microphone DSP is what I'm using right now to speak, and here are the plugins already in that. These are other LV2 plugins. So you can save this patch bay as an LV2 plugin, and it will save the settings. So I won't go over all these. This is just kind of a tour here to show you what the setup is. The other part of this is the remote rig setup. That's what this looks like, and there's some other videos that explain this. And here's the receive part of it. So again, this is saved. All the settings are saved once you get everything just the way you want it. And you can bring it back just like it was before by selecting an LV2 plugin if it's in your .lv2 file. So we have FL Digi, YP-Log, CW keyboards going into this HOMEBREW CW keyer, which is also an LV2 plugin, the Make Your Own Keyable CPO, which is this right here. This is an audio to MIDI data to CW note setup, which has been explained in previous videos, but this is just the plugin as it looks. And you get this just the way you want it and save it as an LV2 plugin, and it'll show up in your LV2 plugin list, which is right here. So all three of these are necessary to get everything running, and it doesn't take, you know, an hour to reset everything again. The other part of this would be the audio volume controllers, which is an AGC and a limiter using V-level. There's one of them. So we have that for this one. This is just for desktop audio, going to the headphones. That's the Gstreamer. That's another Gstreamer. One's for transmit and one's for receive. So you create a virtual cable, so to speak, where this audio over IP codec goes from the Raspberry Pi, which is connected to the rig. The rig itself is a K3S, and on the back is a USB port. So the K3S has its own sound card. That's what the Pi here is using for its sound card. So it has the receive and the transmit already in this sound card setup here. So these Gstreamer commands automatically default to the default ALSA sound card, which is the only sound card when it's plugged into the K3S here. So we don't have to fiddle with any of those names. I'll highlight the commands here. Get a close-up of it. And here's the other one. This one transmits to the IP address, which is this laptop. And this is the Pi receiver, which transmits it to the K3S. Forwards this audio to the K3S and it goes out on transmit. And here's another one. This is the 5 times, which is this one for the receive. So we have a little AGC limiter for the receive output from the Gstreamer receive pipeline coming into this. Down at the bottom here we have a filter to filter out the subtone. The subtone activates the rig's push-to-talk through the voice Vox circuit. So it goes ahead of the actual audio that's sent. That's why we have this delay up here. So the actual audio to be transmitted is delayed by 70 milliseconds. That gives the subtone enough time to get to the rig first and activate the push-to-talk without actually being transmitted itself, since 45 Hertz is too low for the rig's circuits to really transmit it. I think I measured about 5 or 10 milliwatts was all that would actually be transmitted. But it's enough power to activate the push-to-talk, and the sidechain gate here tells you how long for it to hold. So this is like the Vox hold. So right now I have it set for 300 milliseconds. Once it's activated, it holds it for another 300. So any audio that's still passing through has enough time to get through there. Yeah, I think that's just about it. So we have 3 homemade LV2 plugins that create the center of everything. And we just bring in 3 more, or a couple more at least, of these automatic gain controls using V-level. And for YP log, we have a pulse audio command here, which allows us to keep the desktop audio away from the YP log audio. So it keeps that separate, and it's a very handy command. So we have the 2 Gstreamers, and this is all going into the jack router, and because of the Gstreamer commands, which I'll list in the video notes below, it's able to get in here so you can wire to it and from it. So this routing bay is very useful. So the main thing was to get these 3 plugins here that were homebrewed so that it would take away a lot of the setting problems as far as having to redo everything each time. That's kind of what I wanted to show in this video. Thanks for watching.